Are boys naturally tough and aggressive? Sometimes. Are they tougher than girls? Remarkable new research suggests a surprising answer to that question. Neurologist Catherine Weinberg of the Harvard University Medical School is conducting experiments that are changing some basic ideas about the psychology of infant boys and girls.
And then you want to strap her in so she doesn't go anywhere.
Hi, Catherine. Nice to see you.
Oh, very nice meeting you.
Are we ready for the experiment?
Yes, I think so.
And we've got a baby?
Yes, we have a baby already.
The experiment will test how infant boys and girls react when their mothers ignore them.
The mother has been instructed to just play with the baby as she normally would for 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then she's going to turn her back to the baby for a few seconds. And then come back and keep what we call a still face, which is basically a poker face. We want to see what the baby does in response.
Okay.
So she looks around the room.
She remains calm and composed. Since 1999, Weinberg has tested hundreds of infant girls. 70% of them react like Lena.
Okay.
And now Catherine brings in an infant boy and his mother.
Just swivel the chair
Okay.
and then look in that direction,
All
basically.
right. Okay.
Do you have any questions at all before we begin?
Are you going to cue me just when to do what thing?
Yes,
or?
I
Okay,
will,
Great.
definitely.
Just like peekaboo with mommy. Where's mommy?
After Catherine asks the mother to stop interacting, baby Desmond responds very differently than baby Lena.
He's clearly telling her, I don't like this, you know, just stop it.
Many baby boys, like Desmond, become distressed without their mother's attention. They can't calm themselves.
With these babies that we follow today, we're seeing the patterns that you see always.
Yes, definitely. And the baby, of course, greets her.
So Weinberg's research upsets our stereotypes. Baby boys are, in fact, more emotionally vulnerable than baby girls.
Want to play peekaboo with mama? Ready?
But we soon begin to treat young boys as if they have less of an emotional life than girls, because we start to focus on another boy behavior, their greater physical activity.
Is that funny?
It may come as a surprise to learn that aggressive behavior among boys and girls peaks, not in adolescence, but around age 2.
No.
Sometimes, even the most well-run childcare settings can look like a free-for-all. After age 2, aggression declines, but more slowly among boys. In fact, for the rest of their childhood, boys will tend to be more physically active and more impulsive than girls of the same age, and less developmentally mature. The reason, in large part, is biological. In the womb, boys' brains are washed in androgen, male hormones that predispose them to greater physical activity. But biology is not the only factor that shapes boys' behavior. Just as important is the way our society manages it. Of course, adults must intervene if kids are in danger, but too often, even the smallest act of aggression rings adult alarm bells, as if it were adult violence. But is that the only way to handle it? To try to answer this question, I've come to Arizona State University in Tempe to visit anthropologist Joe Tobin.
He looks over the teacher.
For more than 20 years, Joe's been studying the ways that preschools in Japan handle boy aggression, and what he's found may come as a real surprise to the average American parent.
Let's look at this clip. That's the most notorious moment in our study. This is after lunch, and the kids are sitting out on the balcony. The teacher is just inside, 10 feet away.
Okay.
Hiroki, in the overalls here, hits Satoshi, the boy in yellow.
The teacher's right there, but she's not doing anything. In fact, she's ignoring it. What's Satoshi supposed to do?
He goes back and wants satisfaction from Hiroki, so he will now reaches over to Hiroki with his ninja throwing star. He's made his aluminum foil from lunch into a ninja star.
Of course.
As you would. Now he holds his hand out, and Hiroki now is going to, with his bare foot, is going to step on Satoshi's hand. And Satoshi starts sobbing, but Midori to the rescue. Midori comes over, leads him away from Hiroki, and talks to him, and she says, what happened? Of course, she knows what happened. She was watching. He says, yeah, Hiroki punched me, then he stepped on my hand.
Yes.
She repeats it, yeah, he got stepped on by Hiroki. And the other girl says, that always happens when you play with Hiroki. If you don't want to get hurt, play with someone else next time. American teachers who see the footage of the non-intervention mostly are horrified because they feel that their prime directive is that nobody be hurt in their classroom. And they feel that you have to intervene for two reasons. One, to protect children from being hurt. Two, to protect children from developing bad habits of hurting. The Japanese approach, which I endorse, is if you start when they're young, communicating to them that they are responsible for their interactions with each other and to the social climate of the classroom, they will learn to take responsibility for it.
So they will teach each other conflict resolution if we're not intervening constantly.
When you ask Japanese teachers what's the most important reason to have preschool or to send kids to preschool, they don't say academics. That's just 1%. Their top answer is children need a chance to learn to be a member of a group.
So Japanese preschools have a different attitude towards boys' aggressiveness. And, as Joe discovered when he returned in 2002, there's also a higher expectation of boys' ability to empathize, to have an emotional connection with other children.
Every day after nap time, 5 or 6 of the older kids go downstairs, and they're called monitors. Now, the older boy has taken the 2-year-old boy to the urinal.
Right.
And he says, pee, please. And the younger boy starts to pee. He helps him pick his shirt up because he's afraid he's going to pee on his shirt.
Right.
These things happen. Then he says, is it coming out? And he says, anything left in your pee-pee? And then he says, okay, now I'm going to flush.
Yeah.
He flushes.
And the little boy screams.
And what I love about this is teaching at its finest.
Right.
This older boy is teaching a subject matter he knows a lot about and loves.
Right.
He pretends to be afraid of the sound of the flush. He's young enough to remember what it must be like to be both excited and afraid of the sound of the flush.
Right.
So he performs with the younger boy.
Right.
This excitement and fear.
And it's perfect empathy.
Then he says, like, oh, we're not afraid. See, when I asked them, why do you let the older kids play with babies? They said, we do it for the sake of the older kids. Because if you don't take care of a younger kid when you're yourself young, you may miss a critical period for developing omoyari. It's a word that means something like empathy.
Here's a wonderful example of children resolving a conflict on their own. After the boy hits her, the girl walks away. Will she call the teacher? No, because the boy literally puts himself at her level to show her he's sorry. This doesn't mean that Japanese schools are perfect. Bullying becomes a serious problem in older grades. But schools here seem to be less frightened of young boys than U.S. schools, where even a young boy's violent fantasies can sometimes get him into trouble.